don't have words. I wish something was made better. This is how I feel about Tesla, right? So eventually those batteries are gonna die, and then you're gonna have to replace the battery in your car. What's that?
The $10,000 battery.
Yeah. So some of the first ones were the hybrid cars, right? So the Toyota Camry thing that has the hybrid on it. So my stepdaughter has a car that is a 2007, so it's 12 years old-ish, right? And the batteries every 5 to 7 years in the car go bad. It's $4,000 for the batteries, and so it's happened twice now in 12 years. So that's on its third battery now. It's on its third set of batteries. So keep in mind that's between $2,000 for the battery and $2,000 in labor, or $4,000 for the battery if it's a brand new OEM one. So by the time you're done, it's worth more than the car. The batteries are worth more than the car, and you've replaced them. How green is that?
I can tell you how to fix it.
Yeah?
Got one.
Yeah? How do you get your battery working again?
Grid charger. What you do is you charge it. I've got a 2000.
Right, so basically you're doing a trickle charge on it ahead of time so it doesn't die.
Well, the batteries actually flip polarity. There's a bunch. I've got 120 D cells. I got a 2001 Honda Hybrid Insight. And you grid charge it for 24 hours. It's good for 2 months, 3 months. And you just reset the ECM. It goes right down the road. I used to pull all the modules, and I had a RC recycler. I'm an electric car fanatic.
Right.
3 of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a grid charger. You can get them for the Priuses.
Now how much is a grid charger?
$200.
Okay.
All it is a 180.
Right.
Depending on the voltage, 185 volt DC.
Yeah.
Low current charger.
Okay.
And you just
Right.
hook it up and let it run for 24
Right.
hours. Unhook it. Reset the ECM and get like a.
How do you reset the ECM?
Pull the negative lead off the battery
Okay.
for 60 seconds.
Right, and then it clears and it starts all over again. Huh.
And you'll get all kinds of errors, when you'll get battery overheat and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
And
Right.
what does she have? A Camry?
Yeah, Toyota Camry hybrid.
I'll
But
send you a link.
yeah, okay. I mean, because that's the thing is that if every 5 years you got to replace the batteries, whatever you thought you saved in gas.
And the older ones were good. They were nickel metal hydride.
Yeah.
Which were much better.
I don't even know what's in this one. It was kind of not my monkey, so I didn't really do much about it. But I was just like, I ain't buying one of those. So
I get almost 70 miles to the gallon.
yeah, and she's doing like over 50, but yeah.
Full 3-cylinder.
Yeah.
This is like the original hybrid.
Right. I guess it's good if you either want to deal with that or have that. I mean, I do it on my motorcycles all the time, so basically the same thing. If you don't charge yours and you don't keep it going, it'll die and it won't be usable. The cells will die. So, and there is new lithium batteries for them, but they can explode, so it's still a problem. But it's just one of those things. Like, I know every 7 years in a Tesla that the batteries are dying and they're like $10,000 to replace them. But when that happens, also that means that the solid state is heading the end of its life. So the storage that they use for their logs and their content on the device are also starting to die. And then you have a whole nother pile of stuff that's going to go. All your electronics and your screen and everything else on that thing's going to go.
Is it a physical hard drive?
No, it's solid state. It's a solid state drive.
But I mean, is it soldered in or is it like a SATA connected? You said
I think it's soldered in, but they use an SD card also.
really?
So they have an SD card that's embedded in the dashboard, and they use that for storage also. And so that is actually the log files are stored on for any of the crashes or any other stuff that happens. So they could, in theory, pull them out, but they're burnt, they're fried to a crisp when you pull them out. But that's embedded in the dashboard.
Have you had to do any recovery on like Class 8 trucks? Big trucks?
No, the only ones I've seen is Porsches and Teslas. That's all I've seen so far. But I haven't been asked to do a lot of vehicle forensics, but I have a friend who has been asked to do some, so he's done a handful of them. And then one of my friends was a programmer for Ford and wrote the Ford Sync program. So we had gone over some of that stuff early on, but I didn't have a case with it. So.
Is that little, I got a little Mitsubishi electric called the IMEA. It's real low mileage, 70 miles per charge. But the entertainment centers, I think it has a spinning hard drive in it. I'm not for certain. It
I
might
don't
have some.
Yeah, some of them do.
Yeah.
Is it?
The 2.5s, yeah.
But yeah, it's part of the entertainment center.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was interesting. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll maybe if I ever get around to playing with her car, I'll do that. But
Yeah,
I mean, I have had several other people who have hacked their cars and done different stuff to their cars and things like that. If they're limited by certain things, I've hacked my motorcycle. Well, there's a limiter in the Indian that keeps you from going over 100 miles an hour, and if you want to go faster, you better get rid of it. So, so I've gotten rid of mine up to 120 at this point. So,
what is it, electronic?
yes, all of them, all the motorcycles since 2009 now are all electronic. There's nothing except for like the low end, like KTM's and things like that are all off roads. Those are all the ones that aren't still, but everything else that's a touring bike or anything else, all BMWs, all electronic. Everything after 2009 is pretty much electronic. All has computers, fuel injectors, everything.
Can you interrogate the computer? Do you have a setup?
I do have a computer program, and I can pull copies of the ROM data off of it and read it and modify fuel maps and things like that. So I have done that. They sell kits to do that. So I have a kit to pull all that off and modify it. And so I keep my own copy of my own fuel map because I've customized mine by hand. So Indian, every time you take it back, they, like all of them, Indian, Harley, everybody, reflashes your bike. They do it like every time there's a release of the new firmware. Sometimes they do things because they needed to for California law, for EPA stuff, or for fire, you know, whatever happens when you're, different things happen to the engine. So they'll reflash them and they'll ruin dyno and maps. So I keep a copy on my bike in case I ever have to have it serviced that I can reload it. They've done it to me before and pissed me off. It's been pretty bad. So
Do you carry it with you when you go on?
when I travel, I do. Yep. Yep. If I'm not going very far, I don't take it with me. But when I'm traveling, I do. Yep.
When you get one that vibrates like
Yep.
that?
Something's bad. Either the motor is off. Something's already happened to it.
Yeah.
Is that a brand new one?
Yeah. But
Does it format? Does it run at all?
it's been recognized.
Okay. Well, as long as you can take it apart and rebuild it, then that's fine. Because keep in mind, Mac stores are limited in quantity now, and it is a struggle to get more of them, and they are expensive. So I do a lot to try to get a good variety of drives, but I spend more for Hitachis and Samsung and Mac stores now because they are all becoming more and more rare. And Mac store is my hardest ones now to get. They've become one of the hardest ones. And there's still plenty of them out there that people are using, so they need to be reviewed from that standpoint. So, but I spend a lot of
Three
time.
manufacturers, you said WD,
Western Digital, Seagate, and Toshiba.
Toshiba.
Now, Toshiba did not used to make a 3.5-inch hard drive, but they do now. And now they take Samsung's position as the worst drive ever made. So it is the cheapest piece of junk 3.5-inch hard drive that exists. Luckily, most people are smart enough not to buy them, but they do sell them on the shelves in this country. But they are the most horrible of all of the hard drives.
See, this thing takes a long time.
As long as you can get anything on it that you can do a rebuild, that's all I really care about. So just getting it formatted, get enough.
So is it possible that it sees the system area and then it starts looking for other stuff, but like the edge is damaged and there wasn't enough data for it to actually track to see if there was anything, so it's just like, I don't know.
It can cause a problem. What happens is if the system area is readable, it doesn't mean the user area is readable. So you can have a scratch, something else happens somewhere else, and yes, that is an impact. And those are cases where if I image backwards, I can usually get stuff. Like, so if the outside edge is damaged and I can't read the beginning, I can image backwards. But you may end up in a situation where your MFT table is sitting where that outside edge is, and you can't read it, and you end up having to carve is all that will be left, right? But I mean, you kind of have to assess what the problem is and where the problem is for you to be able to do that. All right, I'm gonna start setting up now the soldering stuff, because you guys all know what to do right now, right? So